Hey y'all, my name is Mare. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be starting a reading vlog where I read Amazon book recommendations. So if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe down below for more book related content. I post lots of reading vlogs such as this one that you won't want to miss. Now today you might be asking, how are you getting book recommendations from Amazon? Great question. I will show you some visual imagery somewhere on this screen, but basically I have an Amazon wish list where I put a bunch of books on there that I would like to purchase and own. And so through that wish list, Amazon actually suggests other items to add to your wish list. And because mine is exclusively books, Amazon said, here you go. Have some more books. At the bottom of my wish list, they recommend about, I don't even know, like probably 50 books for you to add to that list. So technically, Amazon's recommending me books. And so in this video, I'm trying to answer, are Amazon book recommendations actually any good? Is it a good way to choose books to read by looking at your Amazon wish list and seeing what Amazon suggests for you? So that's what we're doing in this reading vlog today. I hope that we can answer the question if Amazon book recommendations are actually worth your time. Are they worth reading? So like I said, the Amazon wishlist generates a bunch of books for you to read. So let me tell you about my TBR for this video, and I go and explain what each book is about when I'm actually reading said book. But the first book you'll be hearing about is Every Heart a Doorway, then The Foxhole Court, then I read To Kill a Kingdom, Last Night at the Telegraph Club, and lastly, Honey Girl. So those are the 5 books that I'm going to be reading for this reading vlog. And just a quick note, I did want to preface this by saying, of course, Amazon is going to recommend newer books, more popular books. A lot of the books that were suggested to me I had already read, and so I'll break down some statistics at the very end of this video saying what rating I gave to all these books and so forth. I wanted to make sure that y'all were aware that I knew that Amazon was probably just marketing me newer popular books because that's what's going to be a higher profit. But I also think that there's some merit in these recommendations because I noticed that I have a lot of YA fantasy on my list. They recommended me a lot of YA fantasy. Also, same with young adult contemporary. They have a lot of recommendations that I think were valid based on the books that I had on my list. Here's the books that I sort of have on my list to kind of show you, and then here's an example of some of the recommendations that they actually gave me. So I think that these recommendations were valid and they made sense, and so I decided to read 5 of them and see if I thought that this would be a great way to pick books to read in the future. So without further ado, let's go back in the past, because past Mare is going to talk to you about how she felt about Every Heart a Doorway by mcguire. Hi friends, I finished my first book for this reading vlog, which is Every Heart a Doorway by mcguire. So unfortunately, I'm gonna give this 2 stars. I really thought that this book would work for me in every capacity based off the summary, based off the people that have given this 5 stars. I was convinced that I was going to join them in glowing reviews, but I don't think I'm gonna be continuing this series, and I'm not really sad about it because I already have a ton of series that I wanna continue, so knowing that I don't have to continue this one is honestly a relief to me. Now, that is not to say that this is bad and that it can't work for people, because I think that it will work for a lot of people, but this book was weird. I didn't care about any of the characters, and I didn't care about the plot because the book is so tiny. It's under 200 pages, and the fact that it was so condensed, I feel like things just moved way too quickly. I didn't get to know any of the characters except for the main one, Nancy, and even then I still really didn't feel that connected to her. So I'm just bummed because I feel like this book would have been better if it wasn't a novella. If it was an actual full-length novel, I think I could have gotten down with it, because the premise is that there's these children who are from different worlds that are perfectly crafted for them, and then they return back to our world and they're at this orphanage and they just feel very isolated. They want to go back to their world and they don't know how, and at this specific orphanage there's an event that happens halfway through the novella. I don't want to get into it because it's such a short book that if I tell you any details, you're gonna be like, hey, that's a spoiler. So this just needed to be longer, and I think I would have liked it more because I like the weird, I like the concept. I think there's absolutely great representation in here. There's an asexual main character and there's also a trans character, and I just loved the diversity in here. I loved the idea. I just didn't like the execution. I really don't have much more to say about this book because it was literally just fine for me. I just liked it more than I liked it because, to be honest, the entire time I wanted it to be over, and it's only 200 pages. I'm disappointed because I really liked Middle Game by mcguire, and I really thought that this would be up my alley, but unfortunately, It just wasn't. So I can understand why Amazon recommended me this book. It's young adult fantasy, and I feel like it definitely is recommended in tandem with a lot of the books that I read. And because I've read Middle Game and I've loved Middle Game, it would make sense that I would like this one, but no. So I think that Amazon recommended a good pick for me, but unfortunately this one just missed the mark for me, and I'm not quite sure why. We're gonna move on to my second book for this reading vlog, which I'm not quite sure what I want that to be at, but more than likely it's going to be To Kill a Kingdom, because I've been super interested in this one and it's calling my name. So hopefully this will be the next book that I talk about, and we'll see if Amazon recommendations are actually accurate. I lied to y'all. I did not start To Kill a Kingdom. I actually started and finished The Foxhole Court instead. So I'm sorry that I can't hold myself accountable, but The Foxhole Court was just sounding like the vibe in the moment, and I'm really glad I picked it up because I really freaking enjoyed this. So I think I'm going to give this one a 4.5 star rating. Gonna let it marinate just a little bit because I loved this book, but absolutely nothing happened in it. Like, there was no character arc besides the main character. There was no plot. There were odd mafia elements to it and a lot more knives than I anticipated, but boy was it a ride. I loved it. I lived for the drama. I loved Neil, the main character, and his arc. And I also learned what Exy is. Is that how you say it? Basically like lacrosse, but in my mind, I envisioned it as hockey. Also, if you liked The Raven Boys or Check Please, or you like both, you need to read this book because it is literally the perfect combination of the two. It has the found family trope of The Raven Boys, but it also has the sports element and sort of a cinnamon roll flavor to it like Check Please does. Oh, it was so good. So if you guys don't know what The Foxhole Court is about, it's about a young boy named Neil. So Neil just graduated high school and he gets approached by a college recruiter to join the Exy team at the Foxhole Court. He's gonna represent the Foxes, okay? And Neil's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should do it. I'm kind of living on my own. He's squatting at different houses and he doesn't really have any people in his life that he can turn to, but he decides that he wants to stop running and confront his problems head on and actually go to college and just settle down for a little while. And there he meets the Foxes who are on the Exy team with him, and oh my gosh, I just loved all the characters in this, even though they were very violent and a lot of them had knives for some reason. There's a lot of trigger warnings for this book. Definitely look them up if you need them. There's a website in the description down below where you can go check that out if you need them. I just loved everything about this. I think I'm gonna settle on a 4.5 because I'm dying to read the sequel already. I'm really happy that Amazon recommended me this. The one good thing that Amazon has done for me, besides giving me affordable prices, because no one else can compete with Amazon for the pricing, but we hate Amazon, okay? We don't stan Amazon, but we stan their prices and their recommendations apparently because, oh my god, I love The Foxhole Court. I loved it. 4.5 out of 5 stars. The 0.5 stars honestly only deducted because I don't want to give it 5 stars. I don't know why. It just doesn't have that 5-star feeling for me, and also it just needed a little bit more plot if it was going to get a perfect rating for me. But I'm definitely excited to pick up the sequel, and I'm definitely excited to pick up my next book for this reading vlog, which at this point I have no idea what that's going to be. So I'm gonna let you know in the next clip because I don't want to hold myself accountable again. Hi guys, I am halfway through my next book for this reading vlog, To Kill a Kingdom, and the update is that I love this book. Oh my gosh, this could be 5 stars. We're headed in that direction. It has so many fun tropes that I absolutely love. And also, this is a Little Mermaid retelling, but make it stabby. Like, that's everything to me. That's everything to me and more. So To Kill a Kingdom follows 2 characters, Lyra and Elian, and Lyra is a siren, and basically she betrays her mother. She does something that she's not supposed to do, and she gets sent to be a human where she has to kill the prince who is killing off all these sirens, Elian. And it is so much fun. I'm loving the banter between the two and the hate to love, and Lyra is just such an amazing character. I love her, and Elian's so interesting, and I just can't stop picturing goth Little Mermaid and Prince Eric. Like, hello, I love that for me. So this is just giving me all the vibes that I really want. I'm kind of in the mood to read a bunch of pirate books now for no freaking reason, and I'm listening to like pirate ambiance. It's been a great time. Yeah, I don't have any more thoughts because I'm just enjoying this so much, so see you in a sec. Hello friends, I've now finished my 3rd book for this reading vlog, which was To Kill a Kingdom, and I loved this book. I am going to be giving this a 4.5 star rating. And I know you just said, Meredith, you loved this book. Why is it not 5 stars? And that's a great question and something I really can't answer myself, because I feel like while I loved this book, there were some things that felt a little bit convenient towards the end, and it didn't necessarily bother me, but I wanted just a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more towards the end there that I feel like we didn't get, but that would have really benefited the reader and given them more closure. And I also just don't know how memorable this book is going to be for me. I really loved my time reading this. I loved Elian and Lyra, and I literally went to look up fan art as soon as I finished this book because I needed to see how hot they were. And spoiler alert, they're really freaking hot. And I just loved reading about them and their banter. They were so freaking cute together, and I just love a good hate to love, enemies to lovers relationship. This has the trope of I was sent here to kill you, which is always super fun because, you know, they're sent to kill you and then they accidentally fall in love and it's the best thing ever. And I just loved how the retelling element was done for this. I've never read such a distinct retelling of a story that felt so similar but also refreshingly different, because this was very clearly The Little Mermaid. I could not stop picturing Elian as Prince Eric, which I loved for me. I loved that for me. But just because I could see everything happening as characters from The Little Mermaid doesn't mean the story was the same. I feel like the author did a really good job of taking these elements from the original story and twisting them on their head and making them so interesting to where you couldn't see where the story was going next. So this is just exactly how you do a retelling. This is exactly what I love in a good YA fantasy, and especially in the retelling. It just did everything right in my opinion. You know what? Maybe I am gonna give this 5 stars. 5 stars. I take it back. I don't even care that things were super convenient. I loved this book, and this is just such a great recommendation. I feel like for anyone who wants a little bit of an adventure vibe with some hate to love, like this just checks all the boxes. And if you haven't read this and you're a big fan of the enemies to lovers trope, what are you waiting for? I don't know what I was waiting for, but I'm so glad that Amazon actually recommended this book for me, because so far this vlog is going refreshingly well. I really loved the Foxhole Court, and I'm kind of thinking about changing my rating to a 5 star for that one too, because I can't stop thinking about it. So I love that I've already found 2 pretty much perfect books for me. Like, I loved this book so much. I love the Foxhole Court so much. Every Heart a Doorway, whatever, it was a miss, whatever. We moved on to bigger and better things because I have a feeling that I'm going to love the rest of the books for this vlog. But To Kill a Kingdom was just excellent. Excellent, excellent. I loved it. 5 stars. 5 stars. I don't even care. This book made me feel every single thing that I want to feel in a book, and I love that. No critiques. Perfect. The next book that I'm going to be reading for this reading vlog is actually going to be Last Night at the Telegraph Club. I've already started this, and spoiler alert, I am loving it. So I don't think I'm gonna do a 50% update. I'm just gonna tell you my thoughts and my feelings right now, because I need to talk about this gosh darn book. It is so good. Oh my god. So Last Night at the Telegraph Club is a historical romance sort of novel, but it's not like a historical romance in the conventional sense, like you're thinking of like Beverly Jenkins and Tessa Dare. Like, that's not what this is. This is a book that takes place in the 1950s during the Red Scare, and so you're following your main character Lily, who is a Chinese American, and her father is accused by the immigration office of helping the Communist Party, and during this she's also struggling with her sexuality and coming to terms with the fact that she loves women, and she started to hang out with this girl named Kathleen at her school. And just because of the time period, I'm sure you can imagine all the problems that are coming up with race and sexual identity. And I just know that this book is going to break me, because I literally read the synopsis of this book before diving in. Like, I knew what it was about, but I wanted a refresher before I actually launched in. And I started crying reading the back of this dang book. Like, the back of the book had the power to move me. And if that doesn't speak volumes about the actual experience reading this book, I don't know what to tell you. I have no doubt that this is going to be 5 stars, because I was sitting in my bed last night at 1 in the morning, which I never do. That's my TikTok scrolling time, okay? I sat there with my little book light, okay, clipped on in the dark, and I was just reading this book, and I had to tell myself to go to bed because I was gonna regret it in the morning. And I did regret it in the morning because I'm really tired and I kind of woke up late for class, but it didn't matter because I just needed to consume this story and just be invested in these characters' lives. These characters feel so real to me, and I'm loving all the exploration of different topics, and I want the best for them, and I'm so scared that the best is not going to happen for these characters and that I am just going to be on an emotional roller coaster for the rest of this book. But I'm loving this, and I can't wait to tell tell you my final thoughts in just one second. Hello. I have now finished my fourth book for this reading vlog, which is Last Night at the Telegraph Club, and I really enjoyed this. I thought it was expertly written. You could definitely tell that Malinda Lo knew what she was doing when she wrote this book, and I thought all the characters were super well fleshed out. It was very atmospheric and it drew me in, and I did not want to put this book down. I will say I thought that the book dragged a little bit, about 2/3 in. I read this pretty much in 2 sittings, but I thought that the beginning was a lot more captivating than the ending was, and I feel like some of the elements of the book weren't as explored as they could have been. I would have liked to see more of the communist aspect touched on, because I feel like it was inserted into the book and it was talked about, but it wasn't diving deeper into that. I feel like this was maybe not necessarily meant to do that, but I just thought based off the marketing of this book and the synopsis that we would get a deeper explanation. And I also would have liked just more time with these characters. I mean, this book is very character driven, it's not very plot driven, and I think that I would have liked to see more sweet moments between Lily and Kath. And we did get a lot of sweet moments, but I feel like this was more focused on the Telegraph Club, and it was more Lily's story than Lily and Kath falling in love story, if that makes sense. But I really enjoyed it. I'm just bringing those things up because while it didn't bother me, I just feel like if those elements were further explored, this would have been a perfect 5-star for me. And I think I'm going to give this one 4 stars, which is still great. I still highly recommend this. I think it's a great sapphic book, and I think that it's great that it takes place in the 1950s. I feel like I have never read a book like this, and it just felt so special and cinematic, and I loved hearing about the Telegraph Club, and I loved hearing about Lily and her story and coming to terms with her identity. It was great. If you're looking for a YA book that delves deep into discovering who you are and exploring that, definitely recommend Last Night at the Telegraph Club because it was wonderful. Now, we have one more book for this reading vlog, which is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers, and I am currently about 120 pages into this, and I kind of want to DNF it. Let me backtrack and explain what Honey Girl is about. So this book follows a girl named Grace who is 29, and she just got her master's in astrology. Is it astrology? Or astronomy? It's astronomy, not astrology. I'm sorry, I sound so dumb right now for saying that. But Grace just graduated with her PhD, and she took a trip to Vegas, and while she was in Vegas, she actually marries some girl that she's never met before. And so it's about her getting her life together and kind of coming of age, and there's sort of a romance on the side of it, but it's not super developed at the point of the book that I'm at, and I hear it doesn't really get developed throughout the rest of the story, which is totally fine. I love a good coming of age story. However, I don't really like this book, and I think my biggest problem with this is it just feels cheesy, and that it's trying to say a lot of really profound things that I just needed more build up for, because right off the bat she talks to her wife Yuki and she's like, oh, we're automatically bantering, we're not going to question when we got married. I was just really jarred by that because I wanted them to rekindle and honestly get to know each other, and I feel like they just dive right in, which is just not my thing. I need a little bit more build up. And I also just feel like there's a lot of parts of this book where we could be getting more explanation and build up, but it just goes on and on to the next thing like that blink of an eye. And it just isn't working for me, because if you're gonna make some profound statement, I want to see the character lead up to having that profound statement. I feel like it's just very mingled in there and trying to be deep when I really can't have the book be deep and have deeper meaning to me if I don't have a connection to this character and I don't have connection to her story. I'm gonna try and push through, and again, it's not that this book is bad. It's just very much not for me because of that. And so I don't foresee myself giving this more than 3 stars. And I'm kind of like, well, why would I finish this book if I know I'm not going to absolutely love it? So I am bummed that this one is just not doing it for me. But you know what? We've had some wins with this reading vlog, so I'm not too terribly upset. I was expecting more from this. I honestly don't get the glowing reviews. I love the representation. I think it's great. I love that the main character is a Black lesbian. It's wonderful, but unfortunately the writing and the execution is just not working for me. So I'm gonna try to finish it. We're gonna do our best. Okay, so I'll talk to y'all if I actually have read this book or if I decide to DNF it in just one second. Future Mare is gonna come to you. Hi friends, I'm back from the future, and I wanted to talk to y'all about Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers because I decided to DNF this. I really don't have any more to add beyond what I said in the previous vlog clip. This just was not for me. I don't think it's a bad book, but it just wasn't working for me, and I didn't want to force myself to read this and consequently rate it poorer than it probably deserved because it wasn't a book that was made for me. I gave this a fair shot. I think I got a little bit over halfway, and I just decided, you know what, I don't want to waste any more time. I don't want to read a 2 to 3 star book when I could just be reading better books for me. So unfortunately, this one was a dud, but I honestly think that this vlog was very successful because I do have an amendment to make, okay? So Every Heart a Doorway was 2 stars. It was fine, not my thing. Same with Honey Girl, just not my thing. But the other 3 books that I read for this reading vlog, I loved. So I ended up changing my rating for The Foxhole Court to a 5 star because I cannot stop thinking about this book and I'm so excited for the sequel. So I apologize, Past Mirror rated it lower than she actually wanted to, but I just love this book. I love these characters and I can't wait to continue the series, and I know it's just gonna get better from here. So definitely loved The Foxhole Court. And then the second book that I loved was To Kill a Kingdom. Guys, I'm never gonna shut up about this book, so I hope you're ready for me to be super annoying now. Prepare yourself. This is gonna be in every book recommendation video ever, and I am just never gonna stop talking about this because it was so much fun. This is right up my alley. It was a perfect recommendation, and I just want to recommend this to anyone who wants a good enemies to lovers YA fantasy standalone. I mean, what doesn't appeal to you? Go read this. I loved it. Definitely my favorite from this reading vlog. And the other book that I got from this reading vlog that I ended up really loving and I'm going to continue to recommend is Last Night at the Telegraph Club. I gave this one 4 stars and I did really enjoy my time with it. So honestly, 3 out of 5 books, me really enjoying and 2 loving. Like I could see them being all-time favorites. I think that's pretty dang impressive. So honestly, I'm gonna say, yeah, we can trust Amazon book recommendations. I think that they're great. I think that if you see a book that's generated, I mean, this is a very specific scenario, but if you have an Amazon wish list full of books, maybe create one and see what Amazon suggests to you, because I found some new favorites from this and I'm really thankful for that because this reading vlog went surprisingly well. I did want to break down my rating just so you have a bit more statistical proof into why I trust these book recommendations. My average compiled rating from every single book that Amazon recommended to me that I had read was a 3.88. And you might be like, well, that's not a 5 star, but I read 40 books, and for that to be a 3.88 is pretty impressive in my opinion, because when I tell you the rating breakdown, you're gonna have your jaw drop, okay? So a 3.88 is really good because my Goodreads average is a 3.92. The fact that they are so similar means that I honestly had as much of a pleasant experience reading the books that Amazon recommended to me, whereas the books that I would just normally pick up on my own. So I do think that that is a success in itself. And then breaking it down by rating, guess how many 5 stars I had? 11 of the 40 books that were recommended to me, I gave 5 stars, and most of the ratings were on the upper scale and above a 3-star rating. I mean, obviously that's how I got a 3.88 average rating. That's how math works. I gave out 1 4.5, 2 4.25 because we're very specific in this household, 9 4 stars, 3 3.5 stars, 5 3 stars, 3 2.5 stars, 1 2 star, 1 1.5, and then I had 3 DNFs and I didn't rate one of the books that were recommended as a whole. So that's pretty impressive if I do say so myself. 11 5 stars and 9 4 stars. That's half the books that were recommended to me that were over a 4-star rating. It's more than half, which is fantastic because I want to have only good books to read. I don't want to read the bad books. End of the story. If you have an Amazon wish list, or if you don't, but you want to see some books recommended to you by Amazon, I highly recommend creating one and just seeing what Amazon comes up with, because I think that these are really valid book recommendations and that you could get some new favorites as well through doing so. That is going to wrap up this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, I have all my socials linked down below, as well as ways you can support my channel. I really do appreciate you guys watching this. This is one of my favorite videos that I think I've ever done. I just loved the concept and I feel like the execution went really well because I have so many books that I just loved. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I've already said that like 5 times, but I really do appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.